Thank you for joining this training. Before we start the introduction of bluesign system, we would like to share some fact about the challenges our textile industry is facing and their status quo. In the nearly 2 decades from 2000 to 2019, global apparel production has doubled in terms of volume. But while the industry is continuously booming, the relative pollution is infiltrating quietly. How significant is the impact of the textile industry as a whole? The fact is, it accounted to 10% of the total greenhouse gas emissions. 20% of industrial water pollution is due to textile dyeing and finishing, and nearly 25% of chemicals produced worldwide are used for textile manufacturing. Out of the 50,000 different type of chemical products available in the market, around 10,000 plus chemical products are commonly used in the textile industry, and among which, about 900 kinds of hazardous chemicals are possibly involved in the textile production. This supply chain network diagram was created by American Outdoor Industry Association years ago. It is applicable regardless of which country or region the operation is. These tiers and hierarchies reflect the high interconnectivity and complexity of textile industry. It is obvious that chemical products are used in every tiers. With this complexity, for a brand, is it possible to know the production process of every tiers and every chemicals that involved in each production step? On the other hand, between the tiers, how fluid is the transfer of information and knowledge between the suppliers and users, honoring the right to know principle? This multiple layers and the complexity of process and chemicals involved does bring a big challenge to the supply chain, especially in the journey of fulfilling the market need on transparency and traceability. On top of that, globally we notice the trend that laws and regulations related to textile products and manufacturing are becoming more and more stringent. Especially for manufacturers, they not only have to fulfill the local law and regulation for production, the responsibility of fulfilling the consumer regulation of targeted market has been channeled down to them as well. For example, EU REACH regulations or US California Proposition 65. With more and more regulation been enforced, the RSL list of brands are growing in proportion too. On the other hand, as most countries have committed to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, relevant sustainability targets and timeline have been formulated and cascaded down to the corporate level too. Some big corporations are setting their own SDG goals, and at the same time at industry level, industry associations and alliances are advocating and setting various SDG goals for their members as well. Hence, we see also more and more initiative and certification scheme emerge, intending to provide solution to various sustainable topic of interest like ecological label, chemical management, recycling or organic material claims, etc. As mentioned, over the past 10 years, the chemical regulation enforcement has become broader and rapidly increased globally. This trend reflects that the market is recognizing chemicals as the main source of pollution in the textile industry. For example, regulation on fluorine-containing substances are getting stringent year by year. Years before the enforcement, bluesign has set the criteria to restrict the use of long-chain fluorine chemicals, prepared our system partners proactively facing the enforcement. People always associate chemicals to hazard and high risk. Risk of chemicals come in many forms, such as non-compliance with laws and regulations which changes rapidly, violation would cause damage to brand image, or investment loss and so on. So, what is the most effective way to evaluate the risks of chemicals? It is widely recognized that a risk assessment on chemicals should consider both the potential hazard and exposure scenarios. To better explain this equation, here is the analogic scene. A tiger is a big potential hazard for human life. However, we feel comfortable about taking a child to zoo to see the tiger. We feel confident that the child is taking no risk due to the controlled conditions ensured by the zoo. We feel safe that the child will not be directly exposed to the tiger. Similarly, the use of hazardous chemicals in the textile production are sometimes unavoidable. The key to control the associated risk is through reducing the exposure. In the bluesign system, the risk associated to the activities carried out at the production site and on the final product are assessed based on this profound principle. It is important to understand that commercial chemical products consist of complex composition, they are not made of single component. This graphic shows the possible chemical composition of a chemical products purchased for daily production. Generally, it may compose of a few intended substances, one or two additives, several byproducts and impurities. The main ingredient is easily identified. What normally causing issues are the additives and impurities which are normally unknown or not disclosed to the users. These substances could be found as residue or contaminant in the final products and may cause harm to the environment and workers at the production site. And for majority of the chemicals that used in the production in big quantity, their impact is in the form of wastewater or off-gas being emitted to the environment. In addition, global NGOs such as Greenpeace or China-based Institute of Environmental Public Affairs, IPE, have continuously called for higher corporate responsibility and demand more transparency from brand on their supply chain's environmental performance. These organizations together with the public have actively monitored the environmental compliance status of the companies. For example, IPE has developed an app which allowing local resident near the facility to report any violation in a very fast and convenient manner, pushing the industry highly vigilant on compliance matters. On top of that, brands and retailers are facing more eco-conscious consumers. In the past, a brand could win consumers easily through practicing 4P marketing strategy, that is, focusing on product, price, place, and promotion. At that time, brick and mortar is still an essential, where consumers can check the product quality and its price at the shop. But nowadays, 4Ps are no longer the most efficient strategy to gain market share. With the rapid development of the online technology, product information can be obtained easily, rapidly, and conveniently. In addition to the product itself, customer demand to know more, such as human right of production workers, eco-friendliness of production process, source, and type of raw material used, and so on. The demand of a highly transparent or traceable supply chain has pushed the changes in the scope and depth of environmental protection agenda of all companies. This resulted a change from performing a single environmental protection action to a sophisticated sustainability strategy. It is also a change of mindset from a short-term quick action to a long-term implementation with strategic thinking behind. Facing such industry challenges, can the companies find solution corresponding to each challenge they face? With so many standards and restricted substance lists in the market, how could company ensure compliances? What kind of eco-label could satisfy the end consumer? Do the companies invest enough time, people and money to implement their sustainable development strategies? With its 20 years of solid experience and in-house expertise, bluesign Technologies strive to continue support all the companies in the textile value chain, with its scientific, holistic, and systemic approach to achieve responsible and sustainable production goal.